Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com. And I just realized that something is still available. That I never thought I'd see again. It's this, the Ravi Shankar edition. 5 CDs, including his 2 sitar concertos, which are splendid works. Of their kind, wonderful fusion things of world music, plus some of his classical Indian classical music performance, Hindustani music, that is, from North India, which is mostly the kind of thing that he did, plus his collaborations with Yehudi Menuhin, which I care about a bit less, quite frankly. I'm a purist. What can I tell you? I'm not a purist because I love his sitar concertos, but I also really enjoy, his performances of Indian classical music just for themselves, even though Yehudi Menuhin was, totally into it, I suppose. Anyway, let's just see what we get, shall we, on these 5 CDs. They are wonderful. For those of you who don't know what Indian classical music is, it's, if your experience of Indian music is only like going to your local Indian restaurant or something like that, or, driving a taxi cab in New York, well, there's more to it than that. But Indian classical music consists of 2 primary elements, at least the northern Indian classical music that Ravi Shankar was trained in. They are raga and tala. Now, a raga is similar to a scale or a mode. It's an aggregate of notes which is used to generate themes or motives, which can be considerably modified through improvisation, but which generally, act as a parameter within which the improvisation takes place. And a tala is a rhythmic cycle, because Indian classical music doesn't have like 3/4 time. What it does is it uses aggregates of rhythmic duration, and these aggregates can be of varying length. Like, let's just say, 25 beats, for example, that occupy a certain amount of time. And these things repeat, and they can also be varied somewhat, but they come in recurring cycles, and they shape the underlying rhythmic impetus of the raga. And you put those 2 things together with a certain amount of improvisatory freedom, and you have a wonderful, wonderful tradition of music making, all based, by the way, on vocal music, originally religious vocal music, actually. And so anyway, let's look at what we have here. CD 1 gives us a couple of ragas, which is wonderful. They're performed by a sitar, which is like a guitar-like object, and a tabla, which is the drum-like thing that does the tala, and then a tanpura, which usually plays just a drone, an underlying drone, which allows you to hear how the raga is playing off this underlying foundational note. The underlying notes vary depending on what the raga is. And Hindustani music was court music, and it could be extraordinarily virtuosic. There can be a great range of variety within the raga in terms of speed and amplitude and all of those things. So it's not just, one steady thing where you're like keeping your eyes closed and meditating. There can be quite pulse pounding when it wants to be. So that's disc 1. Disc 2 is Raga Mishra Pilu, another raga type thing. Let's see, what else have we got here? CD 3 is another bunch of raga things and Indian classical music type pieces, along with some Ravi Shankar personal items, one called Tenderness and Twilight Mood, and Yehudi Menuhin's involved in that stuff. That's where he got involved in these things, these East meets West world music, celebrations, I suppose you would call them. Then we've got CD 4, the Concerto for Sitar and Orchestra. These are big works. It's got a big part for bongos here, the London Symphony Orchestra with Andre Previn. This is like 23 plus 16, it's 40 minutes. It's serious piece of music. And then other pieces based on raga melodies, which Ravi Shankar created himself. And this includes Jean-Pierre Rampal on flute, and there's a harp and, all kinds of other goodies. And then CD5 contains something called a garland of ragas, which is the sitar concerto number 2. Again, another big piece, 16-minute opening presto, and whatnot. These are major works with the London Phil and Zubin Mehta, who certainly knows his ragas. And that's it. That's the 5 discs that Ravi Shankar did. Now, Shankar passed away in 2012, if I'm not mistaken, after an amazing career in which he influenced everybody from the Beatles on up. Really an extraordinary musician. And I can't help but think these days, when everybody talks about cultural appropriation and wokeosity and all that, what people would call Shankar's sitar concerti. Was he culturally appropriating Western music? I mean, or does the West simply arrogantly assume that only Western artists are guilty of appropriating, but that no one else does it? It doesn't work the other way around. And what of it? What do other cultures feel about blending their own music with Western music? Most Western scholars that I've seen who talk about these things and mouth off about cultural appropriation and imperialism and all that stuff completely fail to give the other side the dignity and respect of having similar opinions and of being able to legitimately combine the cultures, as they so often do, and as Ravi Shankar so splendidly did. Anyway, this is on Warner, and it's really worth hearing. A wonderful moment, a historical moment in Western classical music, and some superb music making. He was a tremendous virtuoso, and in his style, and a fine composer. He also did the film score to Gandhi, don't forget. I think it was nominated for an Academy Award. I don't know if it won. I mean, a tremendously gifted musician and a lovely 5 CD tribute. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.